Hare Krishna, sir, would you like a spiritual cookie? It's really good, very tasty. Hare Krishna, would you like a cookie? It's spiritual. Prashadam. Prashadam if you got 'em. Excuse me, Hare Krishna, would you like a cookie? It's a holy cookie, prashadam, good for the soul.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Hare Krishna, would you like a cookie?
Get a job.
Better than your meat cookies. Hare Krishna, would you like a cookie? You're welcome. Enjoy. Prashadam, good for the soul. Hare Krishna, would you like a cookie?
Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad.
Ganagame Prabhu was born on April 2nd, 1947 in Miami Beach, Florida, the first child of his parents who had met in the Navy during World War II and was named after his father, John Joseph Parton Jr. 3 more boys followed, Michael, Jimmy, and Tony. When Jay, as he was known to his family, was around 13 or 14, the family moved to Tallahassee to facilitate his father's job with Southern Bell Telephone Company as a lobbyist who would wine and dine the politicians. After graduating from the local high school, he attended Florida State University with a double major, Fine Arts and Cinematography. Ganagame first came to Tallahassee, Florida Hare Krishna Temple in March 1972 to find out why his good friend from FSU, Bob, Rupa Vilas Das, had shaved his head and moved into the temple with his wife, Carol, Chandrika Devidasi. He would argue with the devotees, but kept coming back. Rupa Vilas begged him to read the Bhagavad Gita, and one night he had a realization. Krishna is God. He went to the temple the next morning, but they were closing the temple that very day. He went home to pack up, kissed his wife goodbye, and then jumped in the truck and went to Dallas, chanting Hare Krishna all the way. Now he was clear that he wanted to be a devotee. On the way to Dallas, he stopped in New Orleans Temple and was convinced to join their Bhakta program as there wasn't one in Dallas. A few months later, after completing the program, he went to Dallas where he got initiated in November 1972 and given the name Ganagamya Dasa, meaning the goal of knowledge.
I come to Mayapur in 1976, first time in India. And I found, after the long 6-hour ride from Calcutta Airport to Mayapur, I found myself wondering why Prabhupada had chosen this very remote spot to build temple. At that time, the only building was the Lotus Temple, Lotus building. And everything else was rice fields, a few isolated buildings. The main gate was fixed, and across from the main gate was a big go-down, tall kind of building on a high platform, and across from that was the Bhajan Kutir. And I'm wondering why Prabhupada chose such an isolated place. Of course, then we took the parikrama, we saw the other large temples here, the Yoga Pit, etc. And it became apparent to me that even though this movement was spreading worldwide, and we were popular in many, many places, still this was a very, very isolated place, so far from anything. There were only rice fields around and a few temples and the main road. So I'm wondering why Prabhupada chose this place. Of course, I had no vision, I had no realization. I had been a devotee for about 3 years and chanting and serving, not really very fixed in the philosophy. At that time, when I joined in 1972, the only book was the Bhagavad Gita. So that, and there's some small volumes, paperback volumes of the Bhagavatam, and of course the original Bhagavatam. So the philosophy wasn't that well known by many of the devotees, and Chaitanya Charitamrita was not out yet. So there was, consideration. What is going on here? What is this place? So we had opportunity, though, to appreciate so much the mood of Mayapur. I found that I felt like I was really at home. I had been born in Miami, Florida, and there were palm trees with coconuts and so forth, and the temperature was very similar, very hot, very humid weather. So somehow I was transplanted, perhaps from Bengal to Miami, as a point of kindness on the part of the Supreme Lord, and I just felt very, very much at home. Of course, many devotees have told me, from Western devotees, that they felt like Mayapur was their home. So there's, within the society, there's the contingent of the Vrajadam Vasis and the Mayapur Vasis. There tends to be an interest there in which place you like best. Mayapur seemed very, very friendly and wonderful, very much comfortable here. Felt very comfortable here, although the living conditions were very, very austere. We lived in the Lotus building when our stay here for that brief time. We were in the Lotus building. We slept on the floor. There was one fan. It was toe to toe, practically head to toe, devotees, and it was very austere. I remember feeling very kind of sick and awkward and disoriented. Prasadam wasn't super excellent. I had had some service with Prabhupada in Dallas, Texas. I was there for 3 years prior to coming to Mayapur, and I had the opportunity to massage Prabhupada on 5 different occasions. And so I had some, many devotees would say, intimate association with Srila Prabhupada. And it was most fulfilling. My opportunities in Texas had been substantial in terms of my full-time engagement. Not that I did very much, in a, how do you say, substantial way or impressive way, but I had full-time engagement there, and so this was a bit of a relief, a bit of a break for me, coming here to Mayapur, a kind of transcendental vacation. I remember that the whole thing was organized almost on the spur of the moment. It was decided that the school in Dallas should close, and that we should take the children to India. But because he was Prabhupada, because he was so fixed in his determination, and he was so convinced about what he was doing by following very strictly the orders of his spiritual master, because he was on that footing, we went along with whatever he said to do. And because what he was asking us to do was not in any way abusive to ourselves or exploitative of ourselves, because it was genuinely in our spiritual interest, he developed a huge following all over the world. And that following is continuing even today. People are seeing themselves as followers of Srila Prabhupada's instruction. They're following his instructions. This is a great potency when someone can be gone from the planet for 35 years and still people are following the instructions that he laid out during his lifetime for their spiritual advancement. So we're very appreciative of everything that he did, and I'm personally very appreciative of everything that the devotees did to help develop the Mayapur Dham, help to bring more and more pilgrims here, bring more and more people here to come and get a taste. When we preach today to the pilgrims, we find that they're very, very, they're just feeling ecstatic. They're feeling very, very blissful here. They're actually having a transformation in their thought process of what is important in life. What is actually the most important thing in their life? And they're beginning to realize that going back to Godhead, developing pure love of God, that this is the most important thing. There's nothing else. There's no other priority. There's nothing else everything else is secondary or third or fourth or a millionth in importance to actually developing your love of God. You have that potential. And Krishna, God, He loves you. He wants you to return. This is His desire. So getting in gear, becoming a servant of God, one of the first steps is actually to get out of the material world, get out of material consciousness, and go back to Krishna.
In 1976, Ganagamya Prabhu went to the New York Temple in Midtown Manhattan and started a graphics department. There he met Mahamaya Mataji, who just arrived back after 2.5 years in India. She was sent to be the secretary in the graphics department. It was love at first sight. After 1 week of association, they declared their engagement, and 5 months later, they got married. In 1991, Ganagamya Prabhu and his wife moved to Alachua. But from 1993 until the end of 2000, they were in India more than in Alachua. Based in Mayapur in 1996, Ganagamya Prabhu designed and built so many things, including the Srila Prabhupada Centennial Studio, now called the Mayapur Community Hall, and several audio animatronic figures which ended up in the Delhi temple. Those figures brought him to Delhi for about 4 years, while his son Rasa and his wife stayed in Mayapur, where Ganagamya Prabhu designed a Vedic cultural museum which included the audio animatronic figures of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna with Arjun.
This is a religious movement that, unlike Christianity or Islam, has a broad basis of intellectual intellectual substance that talk about in detail how the different stages of living entity goes through, what the different stages living entity goes through to reach the spiritual world. This is this is a very unique religious experience. It's a unique time in history when the clarification of what is spiritual and what is the destination of a spiritual person's life is being made very clear. Someone may be very generous, very tolerant, very kind. All of these different things we see in different people who take up some kind of spiritual path. But what is the goal of that spiritual path? Without knowing that goal, we cannot really appreciate why we should do these things, why we should pursue spiritual life, why we should be kind, why should we be tolerant. Otherwise, without full knowledge, our tendency is to let it all slide and just go along with the senses. Just take whatever route the senses produce, the easiest, most convenient route. And this is, of course, dictated by our ignorance and lust. The lust of the living entity to imitate Krishna, to enjoy like Krishna. This is why we all come to the material world. This is our trapping feature. This is our chain that keeps us here in the material world. The soul cannot leave as long as there is attachment. So we're directing, Srila Prabhupada is directing, with the help of his disciples, how to leave off the attachment. The main function of leaving that, the main means of leaving that attachment is to develop love for Krishna.
Sorry.
It's my...
I know. I was just trying to help. Don't call the cops.
I don't feel obligated to worship God. Okay, God took my parents away.
I can understand that. But that's the way karma works. People are worshiping all over the place. People worship athletes, rock stars, anybody with six-pack abs. Even themselves. All substitutes for Krishna. Devotees are trying to break this worship anything but God habit. It's a tougher habit to break than smoking.
What was that you were saying about karma?
Karma means action. Yeah, we suffer or enjoy the reactions to things we do in this life or in past lives.
Past lives. But like reincarnation?
Exactly.
What that exists.
Oh, it's a fact.
Oh yeah? How do you know?
Well, I know I was a woman in my past life.
A woman. What? Shut up.
Okay, so Budi Roy has asked me, our filmmaker, he's asked me to talk a little bit about my involvement in filmmaking and what do I do here in Sridham Mayapur. I came here to Mayapur about 2 years ago with the intention of finishing a novel. I began a film script about 10 years ago. It's a long time. But in the professional world of filmmaking, it's amazing actually. Most films do take about 10 years to make. At any rate, 10 years ago I wrote a script. I was crossing the American continent with the Festival of India. I was driving the truck. So we had many different stops along the way, and a day layover here, a day layover there. So somehow I got the idea, let me write something. So I got one black book with blank pages, and I started writing. And I really felt that Krishna was giving me a storyline, a very interesting storyline. So I pursued that and developed the characters. And then when the tour was over after 1 month, I went back and I typed up the whole thing and developed a screenplay called Celibate in Chelsea. So Celibate in Chelsea, I tried to raise money for filming. I got some inheritance, and I spent some of that money trying to develop trailers. You can see them. They're online now at, we changed the name of the movie to Monks in Manhattan, monksinmanhattan.com. You go there and you can see the trailers that we made in New York in 2007, long time ago. Now it's 2014.
Oh, hey, Megan. This is Gyana Gumya. Say that 3 times fast.
Gyana.
Yeah, Gyana's good.
Megan works at the agency.
Oh, really? Yeah?
Yeah, new office manager.
You met there? That's how you met?
Actually, well, we've known each other longer than that. In my previous life, he was my disciple. Of course, now I'm his follower.
I would say stalker.
Hey.
How you guys know this?
Past life regression. Yeah.
Really? That's far out. That's really amazing.
Gyana's actually a CPA, and he is not shy about being a Hare Krishna, So he gives out prasadam to clients. He really brings his spiritual life into the office in a nice way.
Gyana,
Yeah.
I've been actually trying to figure out a way to combine my professional.
Oh,
You
yeah?
want to take a walk?
Sure, completely.
He's doing books.
You're gonna talk now? You're gonna leave me alone and
Yeah,
talk
we'll
to
leave
each
you
other?
alone.
Go easy on her, Gyana.
See you, all right. You guys are kind of weird, aren't you? I mean, with this past life stuff.
Well, Ram introduced me to Krishna consciousness. And now I'm making devotee friends, learning so much.
Well, that's great. It's nice.
I want to have a Krishna conscious family. And I want this with Ram,
You don't mince words, do you? You're just really upfront.
but he's not reacting the way I was hoping he would when I started my devotional path.
I could pitch you a lot of sound bites about that, but basically devotees just depend on Krishna for what they want.
Thanks. This philosophy is so different. And so many devotees seem to have a close relationship with Krishna.
Yeah, well, we depend on Krishna, and we're grateful for whatever he gives us.
I volunteered to help distribute prasadam now, but I hope to see you again soon.
All right, great. It's terrific to meet you. Bye-bye now.
Okay, not.
Devotees are having the opportunity to present their ideas, so forth. Some of the ideas are what we call off the wall. They're not so good. They're not very attractive. Some of the ideas are simply complaints. Some of the ideas are sterling. Some of them are really valuable, and if they're implemented, things can improve. Why do we want to make improvements? Not material improvements, but again, back to this idea of creating in Mayapur, a place that is very, very conducive to transcendental life, very conducive to inspiring people to pursue spiritual life.
During his last 3 years residing in Mayapur, Ganagamya Prabhu was a force to be reckoned with. One positive change he established was the policy of women devotees giving Srimad Bhagavatam class once a week. Please note that this was entirely his idea. He also was instrumental in upgrading the care of the cows at the temple Goshala.
Mayapur is its spiritual exit. Prabhupada uses the example, if you're in a burning building, you don't try to redecorate, you don't try to make everything copacetic and comfortable. You look for the exit and you try to get out. So material world, everything is burning. This is samsara world. Everyone is suffering here, without a doubt. The rich people, they don't have enough money. And the poor people are starving, whatever their difficulty. So many difficulties are here. Everyone is suffering, rich or poor. So, what to do? Exit, get out. The building is burning down, you don't try to remain and make things nice. When you actually try to get out of the material world, by following the principles of the Bhakti Yoga process, by following the ideals of how to develop love of God, when you actually do that, you change, and those persons around you, they also change. So our objective in Krishna consciousness, yes, is to reform the world one person at a time. First we reform ourselves, and then we're influential, and then we're effective in trying to present this Krishna consciousness to others and give them the means by which they can change their attitude. And it's all about mentality and attitude, Krishna consciousness. Thinking about Krishna consciousness, the idea that Krishna enters into the consciousness and he purifies it. This is the objective of our society. We're not trying to take over the world militarily or financially like that. So many people have so many different plans for world conquest in different ways, in different means. But our business is simply to change the mentality. Whatever your religion is, whatever your business is in spiritual thought, whatever you think in spiritual reality, that's all right. It may not be the truth, but it's all right. But we just want to make you a better person in that religion. All religions have the basic idea to develop love of God. That is what religion is. Prabhupada was asked once, what is religion? Religion means that you develop love of God. It doesn't mean that you have a particular code of ethics and you enforce that with a knife or the gun. It doesn't mean that you are allowed to kill heretics, people who believe differently from you. It doesn't mean any of those things. It doesn't mean that you're the best because you believe in a certain way. Religion means that you have love of God, that you actually have developed love for God. And if you love God, you love all of His creatures, all the living entities, the animals, the plants, the human beings. All of these things are to be seen by the spiritual person, by the religious person, as spiritual entities, as belonging to God, as God's property, not his own property.
Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad. Jai Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna. That's so funny. They take themselves so seriously, you know. Hardly any sense of humor. Haribol. It's like, you come here, it's like meeting old friends you've never seen.
I'm not hungry, I'll just pick.
So that's what we're trying to do here in Mayapur also, is to create a place where everything has meaning and value. Nothing is taken for granted. So this requires a lot of attention, requires a lot of different people to put the emphasis that they see as important in place in the society, in the community. So that's what we're doing here, that's what I'm doing, and you have opportunity perhaps to look at this book. Very nice. Thank you very much.
Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu Bhajan Anukula Bhakta Seva Paramasiddhi Premalatikaramula Madhavati Bhakti Jana